The rest of this class, we're going to be talking about classes, which are the way we make our own types in Python. The syntax to define a new type in Python is to use class followed by the class name. This is the name you make up, such as web corpus. And I'll explain what this means in the next unit. For all of the classes in this unit, we'll just use object here. And inside the class, there's the block. This is like the block inside a function, except inside the class, the block is mostly going to contain definitions, and they're going to be definitions of functions. We'll talk more about why that is and what we're using them for. So instead of using the search engine example introduce classes, I'll leave that for you to do in the homework. We're going to introduce classes using another example inspired by one of our students, Andrew, who built a company perfect menu. You can read more about that in the Udacity blog. It's quite an inspiring story. And we're going to think about what we would need to do to represent restaurants and menus and things like that if we were going to build a site similar to what Andrew built. So let's assume we want to build a site to store restaurant menus. That means we probably need some way to represent restaurants. So we want to make our own type. So we'll do that by making a class. We'll call it restaurant, and we'll make the base class object. We're going to talk more about what that means later, but for now, that's going to be something we put in all of our class definitions. And for the body of the class, we do need something. We'll just have a docstring. And a docstring is just a string that comes right after a definition, in this case, right after the class. It should provide some useful documentation so people understand what the object is. You'll notice that I used an uppercase letter for the name of the type. This is just a convention, and if you have a long class name with multiple words, you want to use what's known as Camel Case. And this is a many-humped camel. I don't know that they have camels with that many humps. They're probably a little unstable. But the idea is to make it so you can see the separate words using uppercase letters. This is just a convention. In other contexts in Python, we would use underscores to separate them. But for class names, we use uppercase and lowercase letters. This is all we need to define a new type. We're defining a type named restaurant. And we can put that in a separate file. We'll put it in a file called restaurant.py. It's not necessary to put classes in their own modules. But if it's an important class, which a restaurant probably would be for this application, it's a good idea to do so.